Hi there, welcome to another edition of the RoundTable, coming to you live from the WWD Big TV studios here in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm only doing that because our friend Rick just came back from Tennessee and it seemed like the right thing to do.
That's right.
That's right.
Your mouth don't
That's
move.
all I heard when I was down there.
It's like a Chinese movie. The mouth moves, but the
The
sounds
come out.
Yeah.
Sitting to my right, he is probably the greatest. We're going to call him the greatest Denver Bronco wide receiver, punt returner, kicker faster. He could probably beat the Flash. That's what I meant. He could probably beat the Flash in a race, Mr. Church. Back from Tennessee. Good
Yes,
to have you
sir.
back in studio.
It's good to be back, guys. I miss you guys.
We miss you too.
No doubt about it.
We
guys.
tried, but we
It's
still
weird
missed you.
without
Yeah, I mean, on Thursdays, man, when I don't get here and talk with you guys and, throw it around a little bit, man, I get a little shaky, man.
It was weird, man.
Yeah,
You
I
weren't here
guess.
last week. I was like, what the?
We were going to superimpose.
Was there
the
an
picture
empty
of you.
seat?
There was.
Okay.
There was. We were going to superimpose the picture, at least on screen, so George and I felt better.
I thought you would fill it up. I thought you'd fill the seat up.
No, I don't.
How can we fill? Who are we going to fill up your chair? Who else can fit?
Either
Rick,
your wives, remember, they control everything in the house, right? They
Man,
control what you do, how you do, where you
Yeah, I
go.
see
Moving
Denise.
on to keep us out of trouble.
I can see Denise not going.
Yeah, right. And thank God my wife's busy at school, so she ain't
Right.
hear nothing. And at the far end, we simply call him the mouthy, is George Miklos. How are you, sir?
Good. Alive
Doing
and
all
kicking, man.
live? Well, you're kicking on one leg at least.
That's right.
Yeah, George. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Hey, you got to watch those lines, right? They're
That's-
dangerous things, man,
That's
out
it.
there, you know?
That's
He's
it.
applying for a job at IHOP.
Yeah,
Anyway,
That's right. Right.
so we want to welcome everybody to watch us on whatever platform you're watching us on: Facebook, YouTube, the WWDB TV YouTube channel, the RoundTable YouTube channel. Of course, if you're running around town, you want to take us in the car. If you have an Android, download WWDB TV, or if you have an iPhone or Apple product, WWDB TV LV to your phone. Listen to us on the go. And if you miss all of that and you want to watch, which I'm going to encourage you right now, our guests tonight, you're going to want to rewatch and get that information over and over and over. You can do that by going back to Facebook or YouTube. But more importantly, if you have Roku, download the WWDB TV channel and catch not only this show, but all the other shows that the network has on there. There's something out there for everyone. And since you left,
Yeah.
we got the phone working.
Oh,
That's
good.
it.
702-992-3207. 702-992-3207.
We're hoping
You
to
know
test
what
it out today.
But you know
I
what I
hope so.
heard? But you know what I heard?
What's that?
3 heads are better than just one. When you put geniuses together, you can get anything
That's
done,
right.
right?
That's right.
That's
You
right.
three
That's
guys got together and
Boop, boop.
got it done, right?
Well,
You
I'm
can
just
even
gonna-
take us to the bathroom.
Or was it just John? Do you get the credit, big fella?
I don't need the credit.
Isn't
Oh,
he-
you don't need the credit.
Isn't
My
he-
bad.
isn't he
My
the-
bad.
He's
Well,
the
that's-
wizard behind the curtain.
That's right. That's what happens when you pay the phone bill. Things work. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, listen, we got a great show today, and she's standing by in online. She unfortunately cannot join us in studio because she has another commitment after the show. This lady I met 5 years ago, perhaps at a networking meeting. She was a guest speaker, and she came in and she talked about a topic that really touched all of us. And I'm just going to say the title of it is called The Permission Mission. And in a nutshell, and she's obviously going to give greater details than I can, but when you have a passing in your family, something sad, the old society, the older generations never talk about that stuff. They just bottled it up, sucked it in, and off they
Right.
went. But Mary's going to share her experience as to what got her down this path. Mary McElhatton, by the way, is our guest. And what her experience was that brought all this forward to create this mission statement that she has, and allowing people to realize it's okay to talk about these kind of things, family, friends, whatever, because it helps us in ways we don't realize. And she's got a whole tremendous platform of what she does and who she meets. And I hope, Mary, I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong when we bring you in here in a few minutes. I know you'll correct me if I said anything that's inaccurate. But great lady, great facilitator of conversation. And I really want to encourage everybody either to have a box of tissues nearby, because she's going to touch on some emotion somewhere that you're going to go, oh crap, But more importantly, she's going to give you information that'll be important to move forward. And we all went through this a couple of weeks ago, just the three of us,
Super
right?
Bowl
That's right.
weekend.
Super
We
Bowl
all
weekend.
Each had someone in our family.
Yep,
loved one,
it's crazy how it
relative.
happens in
Yeah.
threes. But we're going to get to Mary in a second. Now, guys, we usually just talk about stuff. How's your chip and everything?
Stuff.
But I got to put something on. I had a pet peeve. I have a pet peeve.
Oh, geez.
So you guys, where I work to my house, I have to travel west on Cheyenne, going home
Okay.
over the 95,
Okay.
doing tremendous work on the roads there, as they seem to be doing all over the place.
Right.
And so when you're traveling south on the 95 and you want to head west onto Cheyenne, you got to come off the exit.
Right.
There's a Target right there.
Mhm.
And it's right in the heart of construction that they're doing there. Okay. Now, where I grew up back east, we had something called alternating merging, right?
Yeah.
Car in front of you goes, you let the car that needs to merge on go. That you're kind of nice, right? You know, you wave them on.
Defensive driving,
Right.
Well,
nice.
it's not even defensive. It's just being polite to the
Right.
cars trying to get right.
Right.
Then you look back, and so I go, and the car behind me should stop to let the next car merge it, right? No, that car's behind me. They just keep going. They don't let the next person merge. What is wrong? Why can't we let people merge onto the road when there's construction?
Because we're morons and we're always in a hurry.
There you go.
There
You just took the words right out of my mouth. Everybody's in a hurry, especially when you can go down a highway or just a residential road or street, man, going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what does that tell you about people's attitude today, man? And you don't care. There's more road rage, guys, man, today
Yeah.
than you've ever seen in your lifetime.
The last few years, it's gotten real bad.
People don't have patience. They didn't take their medication that morning. They didn't have
Right.
their coffee.
Anything.
My wife, man, cussed me out.
Oh,
Or my
no.
husband cussed me out. I don't want to go to my job. You got an array of things, guys, that we just carry it like a suitcase with us when we're behind that doggone steering wheel, and it's dangerous.
Oh, absolutely.
It's our
It's-
little
it's
cocoon,
dangerous.
our little cocoon where you feel like you can do and say what you want. Honk and you don't. You know, that's our little safety cocoon.
And I will
You
agree with
feel
that. Yeah.
invincible, and even though you're not.
And I agree with that 1,000%. And I do find myself at times when I'm listening to ESPN or the Comedy Channel that I'm engrossed in the conversation. I kind of zone out of what I'm doing, but we're not texting and driving, right? So that's important.
Thank you.
But you know what? Let's bring Mary in on this. And I'll tell you why, because obviously with what she does, she meets a lot of people. She drives around this town as crazy as the rest of us do. I'm sure she has seen what I've spoken about. So Mary, first of all, thank you for joining us. How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing
Good.
really
So,
well. And this is
First of all, did I talk about you and Permission Mission well enough that I won't get myself in trouble?
you are spot on.
See?
I'm just going to add a little bit to it and it'll be perfect.
Excellent. See, I'm a student of the game.
No, you're a Hall of Famer, big fella. You're a Hall of
See, I
Famer.
didn't want to say it.
Yeah,
but
I
thank
am.
you.
I'm going to say it. Right.
But you heard my pet peeve. You drive around this town a lot. I know the side of town that you live on, so you're dealing with like the 215s and the rainbows and all that stuff down yonder. You got to see that happening a lot of time as well. This alternating merging stuff just is not happening to keep people safe.
Funny that you say that. The whole reason that I had put my own wishes and plans in place was because of how often I am on the roads and people aren't watching out for each other or even themselves. I'm a mother and a grandmother and a wife, and I certainly want to make it home. And I think a lot of people don't understand if they don't talk particularly about this particular topic, well, then they may not make it home. And that's happening more and more. And that's part of why I'm out here with your guys' support and help, making sure that we're open about this conversation. I think people will drive a little better when they know what the consequences could be just merely rushing all the time.
Right,
It's
right.
too
And like
much at
Rick
risk.
said, yeah, absolutely. And like what Rick said, we're not driving 156 miles an hour down the road at 2 a.m. after having had a few, as a former Raider did a year or so ago.
Yeah, thank you, Raider.
Right.
Thank you.
I didn't say
Yeah.
Bronco.
Thank
No,
you.
I got you
Thank you.
covered.
Thank you
That's
very
a
much.
whole nother.
Well, we always thought of them as a criminal element anyway.
Oh my God! Wow.
You won't get that one, Mary, but I do.
I
I
didn't
take
get it,
offense.
Doris.
Ladies and listen, all you Raider fans, you can send your emails to Rick at no.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, talk about a shot over the bow
Oh,
for crying
baby.
out loud.
Right.
But no, but seriously, I mean, we don't know. But to me, that alternating merge, I just laugh at that, because if I was that person trying to get onto Cheyenne, man, I'd be pissed that one person doesn't have the decency in the law. I mean, I got to imagine alternating merging has got to be somewhere in the driver's manual out of respect and courtesy. But I'd be pretty pissed off if I wasn't given at least an opportunity. It's like pulling out of a driveway when somebody doesn't
Right.
let you out. And where are they going? To a red light.
Well, you posted the other day on social media with the Tropicana thing.
Yes.
Now, I don't know. I think, Mary, I live in the southeast Henderson area. So having to get here, I have to drive 35, 40 minutes. And the only reason I know that is because of my little mishap the last couple of weeks.
Oh, with your
when
knee,
my
yeah.
leg is bent in the driver when I'm driving. It started after 20 minutes. It's going, hurry up, man. People are not paying
Isn't
attention.
aging great?
Yeah. Thanks, Mary, for reminding me.
Bravo. Bravo.
I think the orange cone should be changed to the state bird of the state of Nevada, especially in Vegas. The Tropicana thing, Frank Sinatra's closed. That's why when you drive down I-15 now during this time of day,
Mhm.
you can't get off on Tropicana.
Right.
And it's just stalled everything. And it's just, I know, but they're trying to get all this stuff done. They should have done this 2 or 3 years ago when we were under lockdown.
Mhm.
Now they're trying to hurry up because of Formula One and the Super Bowl coming in a year. But yeah, all this stuff's going to be closed during those events.
Right.
So I don't know what their thinking was.
Well, here's my thing. Most folks, when they get up in the morning, right,
Mhm.
they don't take their medications sometimes. And some of them don't take their medications and they have issues. Then you have some people, man, that don't even want to go to their job, right?
Mhm.
And so they're ticked off, and
I'm
so
one of those.
they take it out on you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you have various things that people are carrying, harboring, man, as they're driving in that Odell, and it causes road rage. They don't care. They don't care about you, me, or anyone else because it's internal. It's just them. I, me. And when we get into that I, me syndrome, thinking that way, you don't count.
Right. And that's, again, that's where we get from being in our own little cocoon. You feel like you can do anything you want when you're inside your vehicle and you feel protected, so to speak.
Yeah.
Even with your anger.
Absolutely.
That you say.
Absolutely.
So,
I remember you talking about road rage, a situation, you guys, I was driving north on Gowan, heading towards Durango by my house up there. And there's a four-way stop at Cimarron and Gowan right there,
Right.
four-way stop. And I come to the stop, and then the car coming at me was coming to the stop, but this one car was going north on Cimarron. It was a red pickup truck, and he just blasted through, made a left ahead of me. He's on the phone, blasted right through the stop, and I just laid on the horn and I yelled out, "Four-way stop!" So he goes forward, I go through, then all of a sudden I see that he pulls off to the side.
yeah, it's
Okay, wait. So I'm like, all right, mother, you know what? So I pull up, he gets out of the car, I get out of the car. We're I don't know, 50 yards apart. We're not like this.
right.
And I yelled at him, "You blew through a four-way stop while you're on the phone, you idiot. You could have killed two of us." And you should have seen a guy put his tail between his legs, slink back into his car, yelled an apology to me.
Oh, you did.
And I said, "No problem. Just need you to be aware of what you could have done because you were on the phone coming through a four-way stop and did not stop because you weren't paying attention. Have a nice day." And we got back in my car and off we went.
And that's
He
the
was
problem.
4'7".
That's right. That's why I got out of the car because he was short.
And you know, Hall of Famer. Look,
Yes.
the thing about
I
it,
like that.
these phones,
Yeah.
texting, and a lot of folks are doing Uber Eats and
Yes.
Uber Deliver and all those type of things, and they're on those phones and they don't pay attention at all.
Right.
The other day, man, I was sitting at a light, man, behind a car, and I think they sat there for about 30 seconds before they started moving.
Oh, after the light change?
After the light change, because they're texting and they're on
But
the
kudos to you because my wife got hit from behind a couple of years ago. She was at a red light. She did not accelerate. She was not on the phone, but she didn't accelerate fast enough that the car behind her must have been looking down and presumed that she took off because she hit my wife in the back of the car. So good to you that you didn't automatically accelerate because the light turned when that person didn't.
Absolutely.
So it is overall road awareness. All right. It's a little early, but that's okay because Mary's been kind enough to just sit there with a great smile on her face, letting us do our thing. Because when we come back from break, it's going to be her turn to share with her the basis of the permission mission. And trust me when I tell you, I heard there's a book coming out. There's a lot of things coming out. I'm still talking to her about maybe doing a podcast as a platform. That's been a 3-year conversation, but it's going to happen.
It's gonna happen.
I hope, right? All right. With that, I'm encouraging everybody, please do not go anywhere. We have a new spot coming up, by the way, for Planet Harvest Health, a little testimonial video that I hope our friends are watching. You are watching the Roundtable. These guys and Mary, the beauty and the beast.
Yes,
definitely. We'll be right back.
John Stiles here, host of Doing It with Stiles here on WWDB TV. If you're a CBD oil user and a coffee drinker, I got some great news for you. I found this hemp-infused coffee from Planet Harvest Health. That's planetharvesthealth.com. Now, this happens to be the Swiss chocolate almond, which I'm kind of fond of. I used to take the CBD oil, put a couple drops under my tongue, and I didn't really like the taste of it that great. So I started dropping it in my coffee in the morning. So figured that would kind of kill it. Well, it kind of screws up the taste of the coffee. When I found this, it's awesome. It's great tasting coffee. You brew it just like your regular coffee, and you get all the benefits of the hemp. So check it out on planetharvesthealth.com. They got a lot of other great products. They've got spices, they've got oils, they've got creams. So check them out on planetharvesthealth.com. Thank you. And remember, like Planet Harvest Health, if you're going to do it with Stiles.
Anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD, pain, inflammation, dealing with mental or physical health issues, or know someone who is? Relax, refresh, recover, revive. Natural health alternatives using hemp-derived CBD and other cannabinoids found in hemp are increasingly becoming more effective in managing various symptoms that affect your body, state of mind, and daily life. Planet Harvest Health's mission is to help those looking for natural, new, and better solutions for a healthier way of life, specializing in small batch, handcrafted alternatives, providing higher quality and a cost-effective product. Go to planetharvesthealth.com for more information and education on how we can help you.
And that's when it's the best.
All right, welcome back. What show are we on? Oh, the Roundtable. That's where we are.
Roundtable.
We're talking about CBD and THC and XYZ and PBQ back here during break. All right, because we have such a wonderful countdown.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we're good. Can you hear us?
I don't hear you.
Oh no, John, what did you do? John, nothing.
Can you hear me now?
All right. While we heard you didn't hear us. We hear you perfectly.
Did you hear the commercial?
Did you hear the commercial? She can't hear us. How can I ask her?
Oh, yeah, right.
You got to love modern technology here.
Do you do hand signs when you say, oh, you?
Oh,
All right, hold on a second. I don't even want to look up. I don't even want to look up. Let's see. Did you hear the commercials?
Love technology.
Yes.
Stand by.
All right. We're going to, okay. All right. So,
I'm just rebooting.
oh,
Rebooting her. See if that works.
all right. I don't know. Or if not, I can see she's typing. She's texting with me. She did not hear the commercials either.
Well, right,
So-
while we're rebooting, since we're going to be listening to what Mary has to say,
Right.
how are you guys doing the last 3 weeks?
Hang on one second. John, should we ever disconnect and try again?
I don't, everything is the same here.
Okay.
So
All right. So that's why I'm going to send her that message. So guys, you keep talking.
Yeah.
Oh, we can keep talking.
Yeah, so
Okay.
how you doing with your mother-in-law and everything going on? And
Well, we're getting better. We're much better. We go past that room and you look in there and you expect to see her and that whole deal because of the things that you've always done with her. We had her for 9 years after Dad passed away, and so that was our mission, was to make sure she was taken care of. Wherever we went, she went with us. It was just like having a child with us in that whole deal, our own child in that whole deal.
let's see what
But
happens
Mom was a
here.
sweetheart. We miss her. We miss
Can
her.
you hear me
dearly.
now?
maybe like you, Denise was on the phone the other day trying to close up her brother's affairs, the credit cards, and this
Right.
kind of stuff. And meanwhile, she's telling these folks, yes, my brother passed, and all of a sudden she stops instinct, like she thinks she hears him calling for her.
No.
I mean, she on the phone letting these people know that he passed to close out his accounts, but yet,
Let's see.
she's thinking he's in the room. She hears him asking for help or something.
Yeah.
And I've done that. I'll walk by the hallway
So
and
strange.
look in the room and just have it, like
It
he did
is.
this for 5 years.
It is, because once again, that's a piece of your heart. It's almost like an orange. You know what I'm saying? When you peel an orange, man, then you have sections, right?
Right.
And when you start eating an orange, you tear a piece out of that section. Then you tear another piece out of that section until you tear it all down. And that's what it's almost like to me when you tear that piece out of that orange, man, and that emptiness. You walk in, you say, "Hey, Mom, how you doing?" And there's no answer.
Right.
And that's the part, man, that really gets at you.
And I'll be, like in the kitchen, we'll be cooking something, and she used to go let Dean know dinner's ready.
Right.
And that's happened a couple of times. And midway, go let Dean know that, and then we'll, remember all of a sudden, oh man, it's just here.
Well, I remember, man, when I was 11 years old, and my grandmother raised me, from a baby. Brought me home from the hospital, my grandfather, my grandmother. And when my grandmother passed away at 52 years old, she died in her sleep. Yeah, she died young. And when I walked out the door going to school, I said, "Bye, Grandma, I'll see you later." Like I normally did. Didn't know that she was gone in that hotel. I went into a deep place, man. I went into a depression. I didn't understand it, and they didn't understand it back then.
Start
But I
talking
went
about
into a
permission
depression, man,
mission.
where I did nothing. At school, I did nothing. When I came home to eat, I did nothing. I was in a real dark place, man, in that hotel, until someone, man, grabbed me and says, "Rick, this is not what your grandmother would want you to be doing right now. You got to come out of this, man, and do something with yourself in your life."
Right.
It's tough.
And the definition of moving on doesn't mean you have to forget. It just means that, you still have a life to live, and you still have. That's what your loved ones would want.
Yeah.
I remember my dad passed in 1980. I was angry. I hated the world. I hated everybody in it. Even though he had told me, says over time, the few months before, "Son, keep going, get up every day. Don't worry about me. Live your life. That's what I want you to do. Don't grieve." And, you do anyway. But, I remember that. So it wasn't as bad because I felt like, he had told me just to keep going.
So,
Absolutely.
So guys, I want to try this, Mary. Keep your video up, and I'm going to have her call in and give us audio on the phone while her video's up. How's that, John?
Okay,
Let's try that.
let's try that. We may get a.
A what? Feedback?
No, the offset
Okay.
between
Well, I'd rather have people see her and hear her,
no.
Like a Chinese
We
movie.
can hear her, she just can't hear us.
but on the audio on her phone, she will. All right.
So it'll be like a
So-
Chinese movie.
Hello, is this John?
Oh,
Hi, John.
Well,
Okay.
Okay, so stand.
What did you say?
all right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Mary, can you hear us? Hang on.
I
guys.
can hear you.
All right. Do me a favor now. We're having an echo. So turn your speaker off on your end for the computer.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, it's off.
I'm still hearing an echo somewhere. So hang on. Don't go anywhere, Mary. Don't do anything.
Okay.
Because we're doing this so you can hear us.
Yeah, I can
'Cause
definitely hear you guys.
Okay, because we hear you perfectly fine through your audio on your end. So we're just gonna have to deal with that. We're gonna just have to deal with the back and forth for right now. All right. So where's that? I'm trying to. I wish we could place that feedback, that echo audio.
Oh,
Yeah, I think the only way to do it would be for me to get off of the laptop.
Yeah, but I'd rather have people see you as well. That's the only thing. So I'll tell you what we do. For right now, let's disconnect the phone, but I want you to start talking about permission mission, and we'll talk to you privately throughout, okay? So disconnect the phone, hang up the phone.
Did you
Okay.
see the chat?
Can
And
you
now-
see are you able to see the private chat when John typed in?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll use that to communicate with you. So
Okay.
hang up the phone so we get rid of the feedback.
Okay. It's hung up.
Yeah, it's off.
Okay, John, let her know to start talking about permission mission. Ladies and gentlemen, you
So-
gotta love technology,
Yes.
right? So,
Yeah,
We'll
love,
work through it.
technical difficulties. Yet I'm going to talk about permission mission, and I want to thank you all for opening up this door for me. I know that it's not a topic we want to talk about, but it is the most important one that we will ever get the chance to when we have the opportunity to. You know, Aaron, you guys talked about road rage and all of that. And to be honest, I don't know if it's people just not caring. I think it's the distractions that daily we just are dealing with life in and out, challenges, maybe even having too much fun, and we're not paying attention. We're getting distracted quickly. And, you know, we got a lot more people on the planet, so we've got to make room for them. It's kind of like cell phones, right? They gave us cell phones to do great things with them. However, we get distracted, not understanding that they can be deadly too. So there's a flip side to everything. When I started working with the funeral home, which is what I do for a living today, I didn't even think twice about cutting people off. Not 1 minute, just because I was on the road going the same direction everybody else was going. And all of a sudden, here I start working in a funeral home, and I see that there's a lot of mortalities happening that are careless. And I realized right away that I too was not paying attention, and I just was trying to get home the quickest, fastest route, like a lot of people are. Today is different. I do what's called the 5-second rule. Every single day I wake up, I'm grateful my feet hit the ground, and then I immediately say, for 5 seconds, if I were to go today, what am I grateful for? Because it slows me down, it grounds me, and I start realizing that I'm just not the only one in this world that matters. There's a lot of other people that do too. So I'm going to tell you just quickly how permission came about. Back in 1981, my brother passed away. Nobody talked about it. It was devastating. It destroyed our family. It separated us, which is what this can do to a lot of families by not talking openly about it. And also, my lost another brother several years later, and we still didn't talk about it. And then I get a call from my dad one afternoon, and he goes, Mary, he goes, listen, I've just come from the doctors, and I've got a real short time to live, and I want to get everything planned out, and I want you to help me do that. And I was just thinking to myself, wait, I'm 10 of 11 kids. Why don't you call like number 3 or number 5? And I was like, no, you guys didn't want to talk about it back then. Why would I want to talk about it today? And he said, Mary, listen, I named you Mary Margaret Motormouth for a reason. I really want to get my day just right. And you know what? He did. He planned everything out. This is long before I was working with the company that I work for today. We planned everything out. It was hard, I'll admit. There were days I wanted to just call it quits. And he kept reminding me, he said, Mary, hey, I'm okay with this because I'm not stressed about knowing my days are numbered. Now, on the other hand, you're going to be stressed, so do something about it. Little did I know that that would venture me into what I'm doing today, and that's helping everyone who will be open to the conversation to talk about their mortality, talk about planning their day just right, and also making sure that their wishes are carried out so that people aren't guessing and overspending. And truly, I want to make sure that families aren't separated and divided if they don't have to be. See, because permission is just giving ourselves an opportunity to be honest, right? It's the truth. It's the only inevitable conversation we will have. And if we can have it with the people we love the most, which, by the way, we are thinking about them on that day, and just doing some preparations and preparing so that there are no big, huge surprises, as oftentimes happens when there is no plans in place. And of course, there has been no talks of what a person's wishes are. So they are guessing, and it's definitely more devastating to guess and feel like you got it wrong instead of getting it right because you took the time to do some plans and just, again, just accept the permission part of it. Because what I found during that time that I talked with my father was, man, number one, some things about him he never told me. I didn't know that he was adopted. And here I'm like, that might have been something I would have liked to known a little while before now. Some things about his life, things that were challenging in his life, things that he was so happy about that he never shared with his kids. So I, just stayed with it. I absolutely got the best gift. And that was that, number one, death is the inevitable. The second thing I got out of it is that his day was planned just right, the way he wanted it. And something inside of me actually became more alive. Like I started dreaming again. I started accepting the loss of my siblings and really just understanding that this is a part of life and the suffering part of it is optional. It's going to happen for a while, but there is life after loss, and there is dreams still to be had. And if anything, I take my siblings and my father's passion and I put it right here, and I carry it with me every single day so that I can keep them alive in some fashion or form. So that is the just of permission. It is absolutely one of my favorite topics today. And yes, people think I'm crazy, but I don't know of any other more honest conversation that you could have with the people you care about and people you love so much. So that's what permission mission is.
Still working on, now that I see that her eyes are down, she's seeing some of the messages, because I'm thinking that the echo feedback might have come from her phone when we asked her to look at the Facebook feed
Right.
to watch the show. So without thinking about that, that could be what's causing the feedback. And if it was, I'd like her to try to call in so we can keep the, nope, no on Facebook, son of a gun. All right. The other, you know what I'm going to do? Let's do this.
Do you want me to keep going?
No, John, we're going to go to break, but message her to just call in on the line and disconnect the video. That's all. No, I know. Hang on. So while we're doing that, fellas, we're going to step aside for a break. Okay. Hopefully we'll get this figured out. So when we come back, we'll be able to actually hear her, at least on the phone. And we apologize for the technology because I would really love for the emotion to come out in what we're watching here.
I'm going to go do a shot of tequila. I'll be right back.
That's right. So, all right. So with that, we're going to step aside for maybe a little longer break than usual, just so we can get things hooked up with Mary. You're watching the Roundtable. We apologize for the technology issue. We'll be right back.
This is the story of one man's incredible journey from 350 to 200-pound weight loss and his mission to help and inspire others. Aaron Phillips. People are praising Aaron's new book with 5-star reviews. Aaron's various humorous and wildly entertaining stories portray his rise as a sports announcer, his encounters with exotic and irregular entertainers on the Las Vegas Strip through his long-running Vegas Unwrapped radio show, and his contagious and positive style of pursuing success. Call now or visit our website or Amazon now to get your copy of Let My Voice Speak to You, Stories from a Hall of Fame radio personality. Order now.
Are you looking for someone to provide training to your staff? Do you need a motivational speaker about how to handle change? Do you have an upcoming event that needs an MC to handle those responsibilities? Well, look no further than longtime Las Vegas radio personality Aaron Phillips. I am local to Las Vegas and I can blend my talents with any audience. For more information, please visit www.aaronphillipsvoice.com and book me for your next event or training needs.
Anxiety, depression, PTSD, ADHD, pain, inflammation, dealing with mental or physical health issues, or know someone who is? Relax, refresh, recover, revive. Natural health alternatives using hemp-derived CBD and other cannabinoids found in hemp are increasingly becoming more effective in managing various symptoms that affect your body, state of mind, and daily life. Planet Harvest Health's mission is to help those looking for natural, new, and better solutions for a healthier way of life, specializing in small batch, handcrafted alternatives, providing higher quality and a cost-effective product. Go to planetharvesthealth.com for more information and education on how we can help you.
Yeah, man.
All right, welcome back to the Roundtable. We think we got something figured out. It's Plan Z. It is not what we want to do, but we feel it's the best way to do it. So on the line right now, Mary has rejoined us. Mary?
Yes, I am here.
Perfect. We'll raise your audio up just a little bit, but now we can at least have a little bit of a back and forth interaction with you as we continue talking about the permission mission. So I will say this, during your setting of the platform of what the permission mission is, the guys here were pretty well struck by what you had to say. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys if you have any comments or questions with what she shared with you about how it got started, the emotion of getting it started, and why the permission mission is something that's important today. So do either one of you want to?
Yeah, go ahead, George. You got it, big fella. Go ahead. You can
Well,
start
Mary,
out.
we were just discussing earlier. For instance, myself, I was 19 when my father died. This is back in 1980. And back then, big tough guy. My father had kind of prepared me for a few months. He had cancer. So we knew it was coming. It was a steady decline in his health. So it wasn't like it just happened out of the blue. So he would tell me to you're young. And when you're 19, death seems so far away. You're talking 50, 60, 70 years in some cases. I didn't think too much of it. He would tell me just to wake up the next day when it's dead and buried, to wake up, keep moving, keep thinking, and moving on. Some people might get turned off by the term moving on. It doesn't mean to forget. It just means that you got to get up and keep living. And I didn't have any access to therapy. I don't know if I needed it. I don't know if I look back on it now, would have helped me any to get over it quicker or to manage my life better. I don't know if that's the case or not. But just for that instance. Go ahead, Rick.
Well, for me, it goes way back. When I was 11 years old, my grandmother, my grandfather, they raised me from day one, from home from the hospital. So my grandmother was like my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so my affection for her was way over the top, guys. I loved her to death. And so I remember one morning getting up, I was 11 years old, getting ready to go to school, doing what I normally do. And as I walked out the door, I told my grandmother, I says, "Bye, grandmother, I'm headed to school," right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd see you when I get back.
Right.
And so at that particular time, she had passed away. She passed away in her sleep.
Okay.
And so then when my uncle comes up to the school and, I'm like, what is he doing up here? Then when he comes in and says, you got to come home. And then we walk and he says, grandmother just died. And I said, what? I said, I just said bye to her this morning.
Right.
He said, no,
Yeah.
she was gone at that time. Rick, she was gone. I really went into a bad place. I was depressed.
Did you get angry? Did you get angry?
I didn't get at 11. I didn't get angry because I was hurt more than angry.
That she left.
Yeah, that she left, and I wasn't able to say bye to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so, not being able to say bye to her, I felt like I was disloyal.
Right.
And so that guilt was all over me, guys. And I tell you, for a long time, it took me at least a year to get out of it. As a matter of fact, I was held back in the 6th grade. I was in the 6th grade because, guys, I was hurt.
Right.
I didn't want to do anything.
Studying.
I was
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. And so it took a while for people to get me out of it. Definitely reminding me that, hey, your grandmother would not want you to be doing this right now.
Right.
She wants to see you, man, going forward and doing something with your life. And it took a while, man, for me to grab a hold of that at an 11-year-old, 12-year-old in that old deal, to be able to understand what death really was.
At 28, I lost my grandfather, my mom's dad, who I was very close. I grew up with my grandparents next to me and my mom's parents. And he passed away. We had made my grandparents, great-grandparents, for the first time when my girls were born. And Mary, I think I shared this with you when we met years ago at my house. And
Yeah.
it was January. And when my grandfather passed was one of the worst freaking ice storms in New Jersey. I lived in Homedale. For those who know New Jersey, it's down by the shore. I worked in New Brunswick, which is up by Rutgers. My family was in Linden. And so when I got the call at about 1 p.m, Eileen, my wife, was already teaching in Linden, which is where my family was. My girls were at a daycare center up there, but I was stuck in New Brunswick. And when I got the call that my grandfather passed, I was so devastated because I could not get to Linden because of the weather. I could only drive south to go home because it was raining. I didn't get all the ice going that way. The first time I saw my grandfather after he passed was when he was in the plain pine box that we do in a private room. And it wasn't the same, but that's when I said my goodbyes. But let me tell you, for everybody listening out there, Mary, you know this, and this is why I'm going to be forever grateful for meeting you at that meeting and for us having that conversation at my house. I still carry the guilt today because of how bad I miss my grandfather.
Right.
And I did not make the attempt, or could not make the attempt, because of the weather. And I was the only one from my family that couldn't get to see my grandfather go.
Well, I have a question for Mary. I
Yes,
have a
Mary, question coming. So
Yeah.
I just,
Is there any, and again, I might know this, is there a right way or a wrong way to grieve? I mean, we all have these emotions. And like Aaron said, I'm still angry about my father 43 years later. You know, I don't know if am I over it, or am I just kind of just bringing those feelings back from that day? What's the right or wrong way, if there is such a thing?
Yeah, there really is no wrong way other than not openly talking. And that's talking with one another, talking with family members, talking with those people who have lost somebody important to them. Even you might say the wrong thing, but I think when you just listen to people who have lost somebody they love and just let them know that, we're all in it together, and it's not so much about how people pass, it's when they pass. And I hope that out of this call today that you, like me, I felt a lot of guilt as well. My brother was my closest brother, okay, and we were two peas in a pod. And I did not understand because nobody said, Mary, look, this does happen in life. This will happen in life. And it is something actually that you'll look forward to, not in a promoting way, but in a reality way. And I think that if we start coming from that place, we're going to find our happiness. We're going to find our acceptance, and we will start really loving, each other differently, because with it being silent, it's taking, it's robbing, it's just not healthy any longer. So I hope that you guys get, if anything, I just tell you, that your loved ones had permission to go, as you one day will have permission to go. And that has found comfort for a lot of people. I mean, I've talked to people whose child commits suicide, and I tell them the same thing. We all have permission to go when we go. And I want to just celebrate and talk about the life and the impact that they made. Because sometimes what happens that I'm finding, and I've done a lot of studies about it, is we just get stuck on, again, how they pass, and we take that one moment and it erases all of the other times and the good memories of what we had. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know what I do? You know what Donna and I have been doing since for the last 2 weeks? I told Donna this. I said, Donna, I know it's hurting. I know there's an empty spot. I mean, it's vacancy, man, in your heart in that hotel. I said, the same thing that we were doing when Mom was here, we're going to do the same thing. I walk by the room and say, hey, Mom, how you doing? Do you need anything? Oh, a basketball game's on, Mom. What time does it come on? Or we would yell out, nail biter, when there was a close game going on. And I still do those same things and acting like she's still there, so that then I get over the grieving aspect of it.
absolutely.
Again, my brother-in-law who passed 3 weeks ago. He was 81. He was in ill health. We kind of expected. You knew it was coming. It's not the same thing as being blindsided by maybe a young family member who was killed in a tragic accident or suicide or something that just blindsides you. Is death is and grieving is either way. It's not easy, but I think it's a little easier when you have someone who's been sick, you're preparing for it. Like, we should never have a child die before a parent. We have that mindset, well, when a parent gets older, okay, they're
We
getting
should be
ill.
burying our children.
Right. And then when something happens to a young person, tragically, is that any more difficult than it would be if you had a prepared in your mind for an older family member that was dying?
Yeah. I think the goal for permission is to actually just have a life valued at whatever age or whatever ailment or whatever event, that a life matters, you know, and one that's lost, one that finally, you know, one that passes away. Again, because, well, this is a tough one for me because obviously I'm the daughter watching my parents bury, you know, two of the children, one child before I was born. I watched my parents sit in silence for so many years and in their pain because people didn't want to hear about their children that had passed. It was depressing, or they maybe thought, you know, it would come to their family, or I'm not really sure what it, you know, but the thing is that, like my mom, she's taught us, she said, look, don't ever tell people that your children should outlive your parents because that's simply not true. And so I listened to her. That's very wise from a woman who has lost 3 children. And I think, you know, just to answer your question of, you know, every life matters kind of thing, that whether they're older, yes, we obviously have that mindset of, yes, they're older, they you know, it's inevitable. But the reality is if a child passes, and again, not really stuck on how they pass, that life mattered enough to, oh goodness, I got someone calling in here.
If you need to take that,
Oh,
Mary.
oh, I think she's gone.
Oh, well, we can keep on going.
There we go.
There she is.
I want to get her back because when she comes back on, I want to get her contact information, everything as
See,
well.
when the
Before
phone
we
ring, we're talking about death. I think it's like, you know, that movie, It's Your Turn. And when the phone rings, it's your turn. They're calling for you.
Oh my
That's right.
gosh.
All right.
Okay.
I believe Mary. Yeah, Mary, you're back with us. Before we move any further, I want to make sure people know where they can get your book, your platform, where they can get more information, because then I want to go into allowing you to mention the fact that you do work for the largest pre-burial and funeral arrangement company in the nation. And I think that's important with your contact information.
Yes, absolutely. You're welcome to share my number out there. I do have a website that's currently being developed as we speak. And I am writing a book that is going to be done by September of this year. It is simply just, again, opening up this very important discussion with each other, with one another, while we can, and also bringing some healing to those who haven't had it, or who are sitting in their homes, who are carrying that guilt and that shame and that confusion and that frustration and not figuring out, you know, what's next for them. And permission is going to be the platform to be able to help and assist with that.
So the number I have for you, it's okay to give that number out?
Yes, please.
All right. So if you would want to sit down with Mary to really talk about anything along the lines of what we've been talking about here, her number, 702-812-1435. That's 702-812-1435. I know you can find her on Facebook. I don't know how active you are, but at least I want to allow people to know that they can find you on Facebook, Mary McElhatton, CELHATTAN. So you can contact her there as well. I just want to share this, and she can, I'll give her the opportunity if she wants to mention the name of the company. But when I listened to Mary share her story at this networking meeting, what is it, about 5 years now, Mary, roughly?
Yeah.
And after she was done speaking, I went up to her right after the meeting. And you guys know me well enough that if I feel a connection with somebody, regardless, it's going to happen. And I pulled her aside and I told her the emotional nerve she hit with me because I lost my mom, the issue with my grandfather. And then shortly right around that time, my dad had been seeing a woman for 16 years after my mom passed. And all of a sudden she had cancer, and in like 3 months she was gone. And my dad had me meet him at his bank, and he wanted to take care of some paperwork. And we joked about the fact that, Dad, you're having me sign on your bank account. Are you trying to tell me something here? What are we doing here? And we go outside and he says, well, he says, when we laid so-and-so to rest, for a plain pine box that Jewish people generally get buried was $8,000. Plus you also have the cost of the funeral and the workers and everything. And at the time I was dealing with my diabetes, high blood pressure. I'd already had the surgery. My weight was coming down, but I also have another illness that I don't share with a whole lot of people. I'll just leave it at that. That scared me into thinking, you know what? With my daughters living on the other side of the country, my dad is here. My wife and I, we're not millionaires, and the cost of being married, I don't want that burden on my kids. Sure. I called Mary and said, you know what, Mary, you need to come up to my house. And she's very cordial to come to people's homes to chat with them. First, the session started out, Mary, if my recollection is good, it was just more or less just a BS session like we're doing here right now, just to kind of talk about dealing with it all, right?
Yeah.
And knowing who she works for, it came to light that we really needed to make plans so that when the day comes, because she says something in her bio that I think is really, really important. She puts in there, we need to talk about something that we know 100% of the time will happen to all of us.
Right.
Nobody beats mother and father time, right? And so I'd rather have my children and someday grandchildren, if I live long enough, maybe my great-grandchildren, to sit around and talk about who we are, my wife and I, and everything else, and not have to sit around to try to figure out how to fly my body from point A to point B because of affordability and put us in the ground. And that's all part of the mission statement that she has, that it's okay to do this. And after we spent maybe 3 hours at my house. I don't remember what it was. She spent so much time at my house, I think she was ready to move in and have her mail forwarded, okay? That after an hour at least of talking to get to know each other, she told us about what she had here as the pre-burial funeral arrangements. And you know what? It made 1,000,000% sense to protect my children.
Right.
Not me.
That's right.
I mean, it's nice to know I got a plan. I'm not just going to be thrown somewhere.
Right.
It's a protection for my children to give them the permission to talk about the family and what we meant to them, God willing. And if they know it's good for them, they better make sure.
Right.
Sure. And this was the final piece of the permission that allowed my kids the opportunity to just sit around and talk about us and not how we're going to scrape together the thousands of dollars to put us in the ground.
My mom, if you knew my mom, she was the boss.
Oh, yeah.
Holocaust survivor, lived through some tough times, was a doctor. She was the boss at work. She had her wishes already planned. She didn't even talk to my sister and I.
Right.
And I will tell you, Mary, she had everything lock, stock, and barrel done. We didn't have to do a thing. All we had to worry about was grieving in our own way and maybe the final touches that we wanted to add. But yeah, I found out just my brother-in-law passed 2 weeks ago. I found a cardboard box, $250. Cremation's like $1,200-1,300. So for $1,800, Daddy G is all done. It's not going to be any major issue. Nobody has to worry about anything. They even have a little black box. I think I told you that they put the remains in, your ashes in, and then you can decide if you want a special urn or necklace. I just told him to put a Raider sticker on the black box. We're all good.
Was he a Raiders fan?
Oh,
Yeah,
my
boom,
God.
that's it. Oh, boy.
I want to
Simple,
say,
easy, clean.
and I want to say, other than our buddy Ricky, may he rest in peace, being Jewish, he wanted to be cremated because part of his wishes is to have his ashes somehow spread at Met Stadium. But being religious as I am, we have to be buried the way we came into this world, meaning we are buried whole the way we were born. I cannot, in a true religious standpoint,
Get cremated.
for $1,800 just be cremated and be set on my daughter's mantle and just hunt the crap out of them when I want to. So I have to protect those wishes. Now today, do I practice it like I used to years ago? No, but I still have my traditions within my religion that I know are important to me.
Right.
And so look, we pay for insurance policies we hope to never use: auto, car, health, everything else. For right now, what Mary is talking about is an insurance policy, but has 100% guarantee of needing to be used. Now, in the four of us sitting in this studio right now, Mary, I have John, who's probably the elder statesman. I will not tell anybody who's older, who's the youngest sitting up here. We'll let you guys have fun with that out there. Okay.
Hey, I might be older than all of you guys.
No.
I just
Don't
had a
go there,
birthday.
Mary. Don't go
But
there.
here's an interesting fact before I get to my other point, and then I'm going to get off my soapbox. My wife and my daughter Alyssa were on the way up to Denver to start taking care of my father-in-law. And the reason I share this is because we started having this conversation, and Mary happened to have been in that room where we're having this conversation. Now, Mary has family up in that Denver area.
Okay.
And she was planning to go up there. And God bless her. She agreed, and my wife and daughter were more than happy to share a ride with her. And she jumped in the car. My wife and daughter drove up there. That knowing what my wife was going to have to deal with her father, dealing with the start of Alzheimer's, Mary had business and family to take care of. But one of the reasons I know, and she may not admit it here on the call, and she may not admit it to my wife, but I know deep down she wanted to be with my wife to give her some support and security and how to handle. And she even offered to make contacts and connections with people she knew in that Colorado, that Denver area, your home of where you played ball, to make sure my wife was taken care of and going into something that my wife had never experienced with as a daughter. Now, that's not customer service, that's friendship.
Right.
And when I tell you, Mary befriends the people that she talks to about this. Yes, I'm a client. Yes, I pay a monthly payment for my life's concern that my children are safe and sound. But let me tell you, she's a friend. She's there to comfort you. When the policy has to be cashed in, fellas, she's there with the family. I know so because she shared the stories of when she's done that with other families.
And I think it's better to be prepared
Absolutely.
first because you don't know the emotions. What if you don't have enough money? You're scraping enough money.
Right.
You got one relative angry over here that they weren't involved, and a couple others
So,
crying. You
yeah.
just can't.
It's like a Hatfield McCoy's at some
Right.
point.
Yeah.
But I want to share this, and Mary, I want you to tag in on this. Okay, I'm 58. So we put this policy in place 3-4 years ago, whatever it was. You said something to me that I've been trying to stress upon my daughters. And John, I know we're going to go over the 5 o'clock, so I hope that's okay. We can keep going a little bit.
All right.
You shared with me, you don't have to be close to retirement age to do this. You should plan for this as early in your life, in your mid-20s or 30s. Am I right, Mary? Talk about why it's significant for you today to think about this.
Yes, and you know what's interesting is I am with all of this COVID and things. It has shifted for this to be a more acceptable conversation for some families. I have had young adults in their early 20s come in, just a couple, not a full handful yet. And I asked them what brought them in here, and they said, you know, we just experienced the worst loss in our families fighting. And I'm an only child, and I just want to get this done. And why would I wait till I'm 80 when it's going to be very expensive? So our generations, you know, that are young adults right now are looking at realistic events, and they're wanting to, you know, save where they can. I personally was pretty shocked the first 25-year-old that came in and said, I just don't want my parents to deal with this, and I don't want to pay a whole bunch of money at the end of the day that I might not even have. I'm like, wow, I completely was just like, this is so awesome because number one, you know that this person's going to be living their best life without worrying about dying every day. which is what a lot of people are doing right now. We have access to all this information, people passing left and right, but we're not educated about it. So therefore, it's stressing people out and it's taking people out. And I just don't want to sit and let that happen any longer.
Here's what I'd like to do.
And thanks to you guys, we're not.
With your permission, John, dare I say, I'd like to have these guys go one more question around, then we'll let Mary go. And can we do America Speaks after that? We're good? Okay, fellas, let's see what else you got.
Yeah, Mary, for me and my family, you know, we're spiritual, just like with the rest of the guys up here and that whole deal. And so, you know, since we were little, they talk about, you know, death, spirituality, going to heaven, all of those type of things that come along with that and that whole deal. And for me, in death and that whole deal, I turn to my spirituality and that whole deal, knowing that they have gone to, to heaven. They've either gone to heaven or gone to hell or whatever in that whole deal. But I use that to comfort myself and say, well, you know what? They've gone to heaven. I know they're in heaven and they're in the land of milk and honey, man, and the streets of gold.
Right.
And they're living a life, man, better than what we are here. Do you find that being a comforting thing for folks out there?
Oh, sure. I think, it helps in the grieving part of it, just to kind of, step in front of that, though, is, again, just us acknowledging our own mortality. Meaning that, one day I will pass away, and I know that it will be tough on my family, yet I want them to understand that it's not going to be as tough by us being open and acknowledging it than it would be if I just keep quiet about it and just letting things just happen and leave that kind of legacy for them. So, yes, to answer your question, absolutely. I mean, I find comfort, knowing that there's a heaven. I personally believe in that as well. And, hey, I'd like to take my chances if I get to see and reunite with some family members again. I'm going to do everything I can to have that, whether I know it's true or not. I'm going to do what I can to hopefully make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the way I do it. Absolutely. And I just know that once again, through spirituality, knowing that God, man, he made us. He said ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And so however you go, whether you go in a box or whether you're cremated or whatever, that spirit, it's not so much your body, it's that spirit that has to leave and go and do its work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is not.
Every person can create their own way of wishes. And Aaron, have you ever been upset that I had you put your guys' plans in place ahead of time?
At all. It's one of the things I share with people whenever I can, and I'm grateful for it. I don't think about it. I know the money comes out every month on my statement. I go, what's that for? Oh, wait, that's Mary. That's what that's for. No, I am very, very, very great. We are very grateful that we put the plan in place for sure. And I hope to not use it for another 100 years, but it's there.
Right.
This is more of
I don't want to see anytime soon. I tell you that. I told you that then. I'll keep telling you now.
This is more of a.
It will relieve a lot of stress on ourselves. Because, see, we know we're going to go one day.
Right.
Because we have proof all around us of the ones who have passed already.
George has one final thought for you before we let you go.
More of a comment, since you're in the business. I was sitting there at the table when my wife and I went to talk about her brother-in-law. And when they showed, it was comical, kind of a sense of humor. They had a cardboard box, which was the cheapest way to go. Before they had to cremate you in a container. So this was the cheapest way to go. It was a cardboard box, and it was shaped like one of those caskets that the old West, the cowboys, that they would prop up when they shot Billy the Kid, and they would prop him up.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was a cardboard box. It's $250 to get, cheapest way to go. But they said that you couldn't weigh more than 250 pounds to be in the box. Okay. I said, well, why? Because he goes, well, the box may not hold your weight. I said, well, you're just lifting it up and putting it in the the burner, the fire thing. And so now I feel like I'm on a mission to lose weight anyway, but now I have to weigh less than 250 when I die to be put in this cardboard box.
Well, that's like you got to be so high to get on a ride. So it's the same philosophy.
So that was just my comment. There is humor in death. You have to keep a sense of humor. And that was my little take on it. So,
Mary, we're going to let you go. Thank you a million times over for me personally.
Thank you, Mary.
As well as being a guest. Again, call Mary 702-812-1435. The Permission Mission. A lot more to come. And I guarantee you, when the book is out, Mary will be on. We'll be spreading the word about the book. But please, just call and talk to her. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. You will not be sorry to have a conversation about what this is about. Mary, I want to do this again when hopefully your schedule allows you to come in studio.
Yes.
Maybe we'll have to do a special Aaron's Hour where I bring these guys in and we'll do it on my show on a Saturday, but we have to do it in person, okay? And I'll talk to you after the show.
Sounds good.
All right, much love
you,
and respect to you, my friend.
Ditto.
Thank you. All right, Mary McElhatton, first of all, God bless her for putting up with all the tech issues today.
That's okay.
But we made it happen, and I want to encourage everybody to go back to a recorded version to at least get the information and go from there. Okay, I don't want to stretch John too much, but do we have at least one topic as we get ready to get into America Speaks here?
We're going to break. Or we're going
No, we're not going to break.
Okay,
we're going right in.
Real quick.
So do you want to run the intro? He's so proud of it.
Look at that crowd.
America Speaks.
Popular.
That's right.
That's all of his friends.
That's it. All right.
Oh,
I'm
maybe
George
one.
Miklos. We're here to really brief. Today's topic was really, really important. It could be humorous too. In death, it is humor also. You got to get through it somehow. And I tried to find some stuff about comments about people talking about death and their grieving process. I was able to, while we're sitting here, why does grief make you angry at friends and family? Now, this is a topic that I picked because technically I'm still angry about my father's death. I just never got the anger, not more than grieving or sadness or fear. It was more anger than anything. Some of these folks have a couple of opinions here. We could make a very long list of reasons for anger and grief, but here's just a couple from some people. This guy named David, you're angry at the universe or God, but that anger gets displaced onto those you care about. It's very, very common. You might yell at your family members because you're still angry about that death, or you're angry at God even. Why? Why'd you take him? Why? Or why'd you take her? Why did you make us go through this? And there's times where you're angry at everything, and religion doesn't make sense. God and heaven and hell doesn't make sense. Here's another one. Grief means that your baseline energy is depleted, making it harder to keep your anger, frustration, and annoyance in check. Yeah, you even get annoyed at family members.
Absolutely.
At times there can be, stop, I don't want to hear about it anymore. You're annoying me. I'm going to grieve in my own way.
It's funny, my wife says that to me every day.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Well, they say that there's always a time limit. Different cultures have time limits. But there's different ways to grieve when it comes to a spouse, a sibling, or a friend or a coworker that you had. Here's another comment. Anger and grief is sometimes because people do legitimately harmful and hurtful things. When it happens, you're understandably angry about those things. The world is unfair and unjust, and it is hard to contain your resentment toward those who you don't believe have been on the receiving end of those injustices. You feel like you're by yourself.
Right.
Oh, you don't know what I'm going through. It's impossible to know. Even though you've had friends whose parents have passed on or siblings. We all know the older you get, you eventually have this, you go through this more than just one time.
Sure.
So those are some of the comments. America seems to understand that we all have our own way of doing it.
That's right.
Our own way of moving on, so to speak.
That's right.
So that's all I have to say, America. You guys have answered me and given us some ideas on how to get over this. You just got to do it your own way. That's it.
You said something I think that was very critical, and I think you kind of followed up with it when you mentioned, COVID and people were dying through all that time, whatever. And I think for a lot of people, that kind of reset people's thinkings about family, right? I mean, how many things do we hear about? I was so bored. I called my cousin who I haven't heard from in, whatever,
right.
because, we're just sitting, right. And because families were quarantined in their own house and they didn't go out and they had to spend time together.
Right.
But death was, I think, I hate to say it, spotlighted or highlighted or different view of it because of COVID.
Right.
And how it hit home. And fortunately, it didn't hit home with, I mean, I knew people that were sick, but nobody passed because of it. But I think death and passing and preparedness for it, I think kind of shook people awake a little bit. Don't you guys think?
Well, I think it was unnecessary. That thing was just something that showed up and nothing that we could prepare.
Right.
And you had people of all ages. Now, of course, a lot of older folks that got sick, again, when I asked Mary about this, grieving over someone who's 81 versus 21. Usually the older folks, we've conditioned ourselves to understand that older folks will go before us, and we kind of get used to it, especially if they've been ill for a long period of time. And then you have the 31-year-old who dies tragically in a work accident, car accident, that kind of thing.
To me, death is an expected thing and an unexpected thing, and you have to prepare yourself for it at either end
as best as you can,
as best you possibly can. That all of the sudden one, boy, is one that really gets you, especially when that individual is healthy, well, like a young kid or whatever.
Right.
And then when like with my mother-in-law, 101, we expected in that hotel, but when you get 101, you think she's going to live forever, and that's the part that really gets to you.
And that's the weird part. Even though 101, long life, it might be, but then again on the other half, oh man, she's 101, she'll live to be 110.
That's right.
But you hit, I think what you said was so eloquent. We'll begin wrapping up here in a second. You kind of expect it, but you don't expect it. Right. And I think what's thrown me into shock so far this calendar year was the amount of people that have been in the public eye that have been passing away.
Yeah.
But some of them very unexpectedly, these young YouTube stars in their late 20s. Okay, that you kind of go, okay, and then you read about the whys and what fors. I'm not even going to worry about that.
Right.
But then you go to the other side of the coin. These entertainers like Raquel Welch, we were talking about her a couple of weeks ago. All right, she was mid-80s, whatever it was.
82,
so you look at that and you say, all right, she was 85. She still looked great, whatever the reason was. And yeah, you're shocked, but you're not shocked because of age. And you know what? Listen, I was just talking with somebody, my next door neighbor, God bless her. Her name is Ruth. And if you're listening, I love you. She's going to be 96 years young. She's living by herself. She has a dog. She's out walking the dog. Wow. She goes on retreat. She's still driving. And I was just telling my neighbor today, look, I'd be happy if I'm that way at 86, let alone 96.
Yes.
And so here's one that struck me today that passed whenever you guys saw it. Listen, big fan of Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
The first time I saw this movie in the mid 70s, I was so drawn back. There's still one scene in that movie in Fiddler on the Roof that today I still have trouble watching. And that's when the couple get married and the czar's officer had to come in and make a statement. They raided the wedding, rip this, rip that.
Right.
That's still the only scene I can't watch. But listen, you had Zero Mostel who did it on Broadway. Tremendous. But to me, Chaim Topol, who did that movie.
I know who he is.
When I saw the movie, when I saw it come down today on my news feed, I had to take a breath because you don't think about a guy like this every day at all, unless you haven't been watching the movie or somebody. Right. If I were a rich man, that's my all-time favorite. I did that at karaoke at my kid's bar mitzvah. That's the ultimate favorite, and I would love to play him one time. That's my dream. I'm taking acting classes. We'll see what it does in April.
There you go.
But my point is, it's surprising, but he's 87. Yeah. Causes not released yet, but you go, wow, 87. And in a way, you kind of go, it's kind of young.
Yeah.
But then you go 87. It's like, you know what? I hope to live to 87.
That's for sure.
When you see someone that you've watched over your life, famous folks or sports stars, it just brings you down to reality. Oh my God, I'm 61 now. Oh my God, I was watching this guy play 30 years ago, or I was watching him on TV, or that kind of thing. It's just part of your life gets chipped away. Your youth, that kind of stuff, memories.
But when I was young, my grandparents always told us, and some of the older folks in the neighborhood always told us, even when we were little, that hey, eventually you're going to leave this earth.
Right.
You're not going to be here forever, because death, man, is outlast Father Time. It's undefeated. So for me, my expectations was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this a day at a time. Each day I'm going to be thankful that I wake up in the morning and I'm living. But when that time and that day comes, hopefully I've gotten everything done that I've needed to get done, so that then, like you said, then the kids and your family can sit back and say, you know what, you lived a good life, and now you have to go on to that next level.
And it helps them move on with their life.
Absolutely.
All right, this is obviously a topic that we can keep talking about, but John keeps telling us to wrap up, so that's what we're going to do. No, but I'll tell you what, for me, very emotional show, diving into this, and we didn't scratch the surface, fellas, and hopefully we'll get Mary on and in studio. Anyway, all right, just a quick programming note. I will be on a ship next week at this time, going down to Cabo.
Oh my goodness.
Probably be the highest rated show that we'll have when I'm not here.
You're going to look like me when you come back, man.
I'm glad he's
Boy, you're going to get singed up, big fella.
That's all right.
Oh my God. Well, I will see you all in 2 weeks. With that, George, final thoughts.
Well, while you're in Cabo, Rick and I are going to hold down the fort and again, have fun. Cabo was great. I've been on that cruise. It's a lot of fun going down there. And just keep your head above water, guys. Just keep waking up every morning. Keep doing what you got to do to get to move on in life. And we'll be here next Thursday.
Yeah, keep my head above water. That's the key thought.
For you especially, yes.
Here's my thing. Let's vote on getting rid of daylight savings time.
Oh,
period.
Wow, that's right.
I think that's on the agenda.
That's somewhere. This weekend. We lose an hour. It's a Saturday night. I lose an hour of my cruise time. I wonder if I'll get my 30 cents back.
No, you won't.
I have a pet peeve that came up with that regarding parking, but remind me to tell you about that when I come back.
Why did they go to daylight savings time? They did it for the farmers. Now they got these big combines and everything. Now
was the big
deal. Franklin said so. All right. Tomorrow morning, 9 to 10 a.m., tune into Kiwanis Connects. Governor Val and I will be here with a couple of special people. Check out the promo post.
That tomorrow?
That's tomorrow at 9 a.m. John be here, although I have the keys, so I can at least get in. With that, as I said, listen, I'll see you all in 2 weeks, but I'm going to get Wi-Fi, so I will be watching from the boat.
So who's hosting Aaron's Hour next Saturday on March 18th at noon?
I will not announce it yet because I have
a surprise.
I have a surprise.
Uh-oh.
All right. So with that,
is it Halle Berry?
That's a surprise to me.
Halle Berry? No.
Jaden.
Who? Anyway, be kind to everybody. Why is that? We're all we have. I'll see you in 2 weeks, but these guys will see you next week.
Yeah,
right
we
here
will.
We'll be
on
back.
the round table. Thank you, everybody, for